Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. And we are live. Okay. Good evening, Carrie O'Connor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm good.
Okay, so we're live on the Living Well Now page, and we just wanted to bring you on tonight to hear really a little bit of your story. You've been with Young Living now for how many years? What's it been?
5.5.
5.5 years. And take us back to the very beginning, before you were building a business, when you had just been first introduced to the products, and give us just a little glimpse of what life was like then and what started to shift things for you when it comes to Young Living.
Are you talking about the business side and the
a little bit of both, whatever, yeah, both.
Well, I started, I got invited, I should say, by several times by a couple of my friends, Angie Hardison and Shauna Allred, because they cared about me and they knew that the products would help. And so I was in the thick of my daughter graduating high school and going to India for my son's wedding, and a hairdresser full time. And I had been doing hair about 30 years at that time. And so I was in a lot of pain for about 15 years, standing there doing hair and doing all the things that moms do and wives do, and working. And I knew that there was a solution, but I wasn't finding that in the Western medicine world, other than, addictive things that I didn't want to go down that road and things like that. So when Angie Hardison started learning about the oils and Shauna Allred started learning about the oils, they kept inviting me, but I was really on a track to go to India and really busy working at the salon, and which, begat more achy joints because I was working more hours at the salon to pay for this big trip. And so they kept inviting, and I'm so thankful that they kept inviting. They didn't give up on me. That's huge for people to know that it took a long time for me to get to a class. And so finally, right before I was getting ready to go to India, my schedule opened up, and I was available on the day that Angie was having some people at her house just to share oils, and Shauna was there. And so they shared all about it. And I went home that night and I discussed it with my husband, and, because I was getting ready to leave for this trip, and a trip that was costing a lot of money. And so we always discuss, over $100 purchases. So I came home and I said, this is what I heard, and I really think might be an answer to my health issues, that another avenue to pursue. And so we decided to go ahead and buy the kit the next morning. We bought the kit, and I got my kit in 2.5 days, which was pretty quick. And I got it right before I was leaving to go onto the opposite side of the globe. So the third day there, I got a fun little bacteria in my gut that wasn't fun to deal with from their water. And I messaged Angie Hardison. I had to wait for her to wake up because she was 12.5-hour difference from me. And I said, is there anything that I brought with me that might help? And so she, kind of gave me some ideas of what might work. And that was my first experience, was on the opposite side of the globe with oils. So when I got back, I started connecting with more classes and kind of learning and things like that. And when I found that frankincense would really help my sleep as well as my achy body, it was really helpful. And the first night that I used frankincense, I slept for 8 hours. It was the first time that I had slept 8 hours in over 15 years. And so for me, it had been no more than 3 to 5 hours of sleep a night for over 12 of those. And so for me to have such a good night's sleep, and when you sleep, your body rejuvenates, regenerates. And I was on that hamster wheel that I couldn't get out of. And so it was such an impact on my body and such an impact on my life that I couldn't help but share. And so I had 250 hair clients at the time. And as they sat in my chair, I knew, because these were clients that I had been serving for 10 years, a lot of them 20 to 25 years. And so I knew what kind of health issues they had. And as I started learning, I just started sharing what I knew, what was working for me. why wouldn't I share is where I was at. Why wouldn't I share with a friend something that works for me and see if it would work for them, because there was a lot of people who were in that same position that I was in, not sleeping well and having an achy body. So I just started sharing. And then I found myself bringing my laptop to work and signing people up and helping them get started with Young Living in between, their hair getting processed. So it was just an accidental thing. And then I got a paycheck, and I had no intentions of changing careers at all. But because of Young Living, 5.5 years later, I was able to retire from my hairdressing days. 33 years is what I put in, and I absolutely loved my career. I loved everything about it, but my body didn't like it. And dealing with the toxic chemicals and things like that I was dealing with for that many years. And now that I know what I know, you learn better and you do better. And so I know more now about what I want to put on and in and around my body. And I just made a different choice for myself. And Young Living allowed me to do that. So it was really
I always say that Young Living was like the gateway drug to my natural living, because it really did open up my eyes to so many more things.
right.
Okay, so take us back. First of all, 3 to 5 hours of sleep a night. I can't even imagine going on 3 to 5 hours of sleep a night for 15 years or whatever you said, 12 years. And so frankincense was really the thing that turned that around for you. So, you're signing people up, you're helping people get started. In the beginning, not even really thinking about it being a business for you. What was that moment where you switched from an unintentional business builder to, okay, I'm going to do this and this is where I'm going to go with this? When was that for you?
I would say probably about 45 days after I got back from India, and about 45 days. And because it was about 30 days after I got back from my trip that I got a paycheck, because I had signed people up, and that was all in that same month, or maybe it was a little bit longer than that, but it was within that next month when I got a paycheck. Because the first class that I invited to, I've never paid for a product out of my pocket in 5.5 years.
Amazing.
The Young Living paycheck has always paid for our products since the second month.
Yeah, same story. Amazing. Okay, so tell me, you're here 5.5 years into this. You just retired from your job that you were at for 30 plus years.
33.
This last year, in 2019, you retired. And so what's in store for you now? What do you see vision-wise as you continue building your Young Living business?
Wow, I see helping so many others do the same. There's so many people in my team that have financial burdens that they are working really hard to get rid of. And along with the journey of Young Living, we've been on the journey of debt free. We've learned a lot of things that we would have never learned outside of this community, which I love. We really learned because of different seminars and different things that we learned, or different things that we went to, that we learned what is the best route and what is really what God wants for us. I've been in church for years, but to hone in on that and to really believe that it was doable to live life without a mortgage, to live life without a car payment, to live life without student loan or credit card debt. It's just not the common knowledge or the common road that people go. So it wasn't until we entered into the multi-level marketing field or into the Living Well Now team where we were exposed to more and more of those things. And so now I'm just super excited to teach others how to do it. If they choose to go this route, just to show them that it's doable, and we're walking proof that you don't have to be the extraordinary. You can be an ordinary person, a hairdresser, and become debt free and lead a successful team in doing this, if it's something you choose, and just helping people and sharing is just as good. You don't have to be a person who leads a big team, but just somebody who wants to share and help other people. If that's where your heart is, then why not this be the avenue to do that?
I love that.
It's when you believe in the product that makes it easy to do that.
So helping people with their health and helping people with their finances. Beautiful. Okay, so just for fun, 2 products that you could not live without. Maybe it's the first couple that helped you, I don't know, or maybe you have some new favorites right now, but 2 products that you could not live without.
I would say Inner Defense is always in my cabinet. Inner Defense is always in my cabinet because with all the crud that goes around and all the stuff that's been happening even this winter season, every time that I feel like I'm just something's happening, I'm under the weather, or something's starting to happen, if I, hit it with that, I really is successful in keeping me above the wellness line. That, and I would say frankincense would have to be my one that I don't ever want to do without, just because I love that it was something that got me above the wellness line, and it's something that I don't need to take all the time. Unlike Western medicine, where you have to take it all the time, this is a big difference where you use less and less of the products.
I noticed that with a lot of the products as well, that things that in the first couple of years that I was using a ton, I don't have a need for them as much anymore. And I find myself using more of like the inspirational, like emotionally supportive type oils, but like deep relief, for example, I used to use that on my tight shoulders daily, like several times a day, carried it in my purse. And I just don't find myself reaching for it that much anymore. So
right. That's frankincense for me. Yeah, frankincense is something that I just grab if I do something different, with my body, if my muscles are doing something different, like if I paint a room, or if I do something that's out of the ordinary, or use muscles that I don't normally use. Like I've started to, work out in 2020. And so of course I have some sore muscles that I'm helping along, but yeah, not really having to do that, daily, couple times a day, like I did in the beginning. I love that it supports your systems to do what God designed them to do.
Totally. Love it. Okay. Last question for you, and then we'll end this. So after retiring last year, how is life different for you? I mean, you're building your Young Living business, but what are some of the fun things that you've been able to add into your days or weeks or months, just because you don't have a full-time job that you're going to anymore?
What's really fun is that I can get together with people and show them and be with them and not be crunched on time. I think the time freedom is the biggest thing. Also, to have them over for coffee and just, say, hey, let's just look at this together, instead of trying to squeeze it in between their hair processing. That was completely different. But outside of, sharing the business or the product, spending time with my grandkids and, saying, I don't have to do anything today. I can take a day off and go to the, dinosaur land, which is what we just did this past weekend, or whatever. I don't have to do anything in regards to, nothing is set in stone that I can't, that's not flexible. I love that about, and I love being able to being able to self-care and not plan anything before 10 a.m. and just have that time in the morning to do my Bible study time, to do my exercise, to do my, breathing techniques, or whatever it is that I choose to do that morning, and just collect my thoughts and not have to rush into my day and, hit the ground running and not be able to take care of yourself. Maybe able to cook meals that, are healthy, and be able to grocery shop and just do all the things that you can't do when you're working a full-time job, because it's hard to find the time. So the time.
It's funny. I've been home for almost 7 years now from teaching, and I think that's one of the things that I've started to take for granted. I was just thinking about it recently. It's funny that you mentioned that morning time, because I remember how rushed my mornings were when I was working a full-time job. And now it's, I still get up early, but it's working out. It's devotional time and miracle morning time where I'm, reading the Bible, reading something else. I'm meditating, I'm praying, I'm, journaling, all of those things that I just didn't have time for in the mornings before. And that's sacred time.
It is. Or you have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you're sacrificing your sleep, which is also a part of your wellness program. So it was always like that for me. It was sacrificing. Well, I didn't sleep before oils, but sacrificing that time, even with my husband, and having to work or extended work. Like if I had a wedding hair to do or whatever, it was always on a weekend. And I loved, doing hair, but I wouldn't swap this out for anything again, ever. It's just amazing.
I love it.
Freedom.
Okay, so as we end, share just one or two tips that you have for people who may just be getting started in their business. One or two tips.
Be authentic, share genuinely. Don't promise things that you don't know for sure the product can do, or that the business would do for them. Don't promise grandiose things, making sure that you're integrity filled, and let your yes be yes and your no be no. and just share from your heart. Just tell your story. Just tell your story, because it's just what you need to do. You didn't walk through that hardship and then to gain victory over it to then not share.
Awesome. Carrie O'Connor, thank you so much for being on tonight. You are a treasure on our team. We're so grateful for all of the gifts that you bring. And thank you for taking the time tonight.
Thanks. I appreciate you.
Bye, Carrie.